Join us as we go beyond the pixels in the Gamer's Edge podcast, the show that takes you behind the scenes of video gaming. Each episode dives into the realms of gaming and esports, bringing you exclusive interviews with both rising stars and seasoned veterans, coaches, insightful commentators, and industry leaders. So whether you're an aspiring pro gamer, a dedicated fan, or simply curious about the inner workings of gaming and esports, grab your headset and join us on this thrilling adventure through the virtual arenas where victory, camaraderie, and endless adventure await.
How we doing, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Gamer's Edge podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed all the episodes up to this point. We're going to switch gears. I know we've had CEOs on, we've had coaches, we've had players come on, we've had hosts come on. But now we're going to take a peek behind the curtain, because without these type of individuals, nothing would be happening outside as well. These teams, in my opinion, will not be at the forefront that they are without people like Dillon Pomeroy. How are we doing today?
Hey, thank you very much. What an intro, man. I'm honored. As I mentioned when you first reached out, super humble and super honored to be on with you and take a lot of pride in what I do. And I'm grateful you see it the same way. So thanks for having me, my friend.
Not a problem. Now, before I let you get into this and let everybody know exactly what it is that you do, I got to know you're a Minnesota man, born and raised. You actually just came from the Minnesota Rokkr and everything like that there. Are you rooting on the Wild this season? Because Dallas Stars over here.
Yes, I will be rooting for my Minnesota Wild. I have to navigate.
This interview's over.
We should have been prepared for that side, but yes, sir. Yes, and I will humbly respect that during this entire call and throughout the entire season. So all good, my friend, all good. I now have to deal with Boston fans as well being a part of Oxygen. So it's what we do, man. It's what we do. It's how we navigate it.
Yeah. We'll leave the Bruins fans alone. They've had a heartbreak enough. We'll let them make it right now. But
it's right.
We did talk about now you're with Oxygen Esports. Do you want to tell everybody, explain just a little bit exactly what your role is there with the team?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, to give a little bit more. So my name is Dillon Pomeroy. I am Director of Partnerships at Oxygen Esports. We're active in a bunch of games and titles, which is one of the big pulls, actually, one of the original allures of going over to the Boston crew over there. Big fan of Boston esports and Boston sports. Actually grew up there for a little bit when I was very young. I lived in Manchester by the Sea, which is now a movie that people reference and recognize. But my sweet grandma, lived there for a number of years while I lived there with her. So with Boston and Boston Breach, Boston Uprising, and Oxygen Esports, I oversee our partnerships, hopefully, bringing on brand new, genuine, integral type partners while also maintaining the awesome partners that we currently have. Also overseeing things that I've been a part of before, like educational partnerships, collegiate, in-person activation events, things like that too. So yeah, real stoked to be here and real stoked to be on with you specifically. But that's a little bit of what I'm working on now and what I've, sort of been working on in my entire tenure within esports.
Nice. Now, before we even go anywhere, first, congratulations. I hear that you just got married here recently, so I do want to say congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, actually, I'm sorry. Sunday is the 1st. So that'll be 14 years for Jennifer, my wife, and I.
Wow.
So 14
Congrats,
years
man.
and 3 kids later, if my 4-year-old runs in here because he's home with dad today, I'm go on. So you may see me shoo him away. But of course, this is a major milestone for you here in your life journey. Does that kind of bring up a fresh perspective for you? This being such a turning point for you here, has this brought any new insight or anything like that as far as your professional and blending the two together?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And congrats to you too. That's crazy. I'm, looking forward to that journey as well. It's super exciting. But yeah, I'll be honest, it's been quite a whirlwind over the last couple weeks and even couple months. Um, Transitioning out of version one in Minnesota Rokkr, getting married, little mini moon. We went camping up in the Upper Peninsula. My wife humors my love for the wilderness, and we went out into a nice little cabin. We only camped a couple nights, but we were in a nice little cabin to getting back from that mini moon and then starting up with lovely Oxygen Esports. So it's been quite a whirlwind, to be honest, but I'm a very organized, structured individual, and I set, I think proper boundaries inside my life and inside mine and my wife's life now. And so we've been very grateful for the opportunities, but it's been a blast so far. We have two dogs. We're in the process of house hunting, which is quite interesting at the moment. It's a bit of a mess out there, but yeah, I'll be honest. It has been really exciting to provide and look to provide now for quite literally another human being. We've been together 5 years, but this is now very real, and we're looking forward to starting our family up together too. So very exciting. Thank you for the well wishes, man. I appreciate you mentioning that. That's really cool.
Heck yeah, man. Well, you mentioned house hunting. Are we house hunting in the Boston area, or are we staying in Minnesota? Or?
Ironically, my wife really wants to go to the East Coast. Our family's here in the Midwest, so we'll see. I am remote out of Boston, but I do travel quite often with them. So it'll be an interesting, bridge to cross where we do end up. But for now, we're looking in the Midwest, but we're really open to the East Coast too.
Nice, nice. Well, of course, now that you have progressed this far, we're going to hit rewind just a little bit here. You mentioned that you are, of course, with Oxygen. Tell me about your time at your university, the degree, how that now plays a role in everything that you do, as well as what led you. Did your university have an esports team? What led you into this path into esports?
Oh, I love it. I love this question specifically. I attended University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, an affiliate of the University of Wisconsin program. So great school, really good sales school specifically. So ironically, it fits what I do now, which I think I don't know what did you go to school for? Did you go to school?
I'm finishing my bachelor's right now in broadcasting at Full Sail University.
Hell yes, congrats, and perfect example of you finding your niche and getting to entertain that. I'm really proud for you, and that's super exciting. But I think that's something that when I was younger, I didn't want to go to college. I had decent grades. I was athletic. I had a couple opportunities around, but going to school, especially when you're looking at esports, is an interesting angle because I definitely did not attend school to get into esports by any means. I'm still from, I don't know, the world of like, we were closeted gamers, right? I was captain of the football team, captain of the soccer team, and played Halo and Call of Duty till 3, 4 a.m. Would wake up and go to school. So did the same at Eau Claire, but there were zero, at least that I knew of, opportunities within whether it was professional gaming as an athlete or not that I'd be good enough, but would have loved to have attempted, but definitely no opportunities within the business world. So I really wanted to attend school, get a degree in business specifically, and then get into sales, whether it was, through selling like entry level sales jobs or through what I eventually ended up doing, which was starting my own business. But Eau Claire, in university, going to college really did afford me a lot of great skills that I take with me now. But one thing I do mention when I love to meet one-on-one or in group settings with college students, and one thing I mention all the time is like just being involved is such a crucial aspect to any sort of professional development, and that was something I did not do. Even though I would like to think pretty personable guy, I didn't take a lot of time to join groups, take part in things, network, which I do a ton of now. So the earlier you start doing it, the better. But I took a lot of pride in going to Eau Claire and getting a really good sales and marketing degree, and I definitely took that with me now.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'm a little older in life and everything. Like I said, I'm 38. So had I known about the importance of networking and everything like that, you know, heck, even 5 years ago, I think I would have been a little bit better about it. I've been blessed in the things that I've done. This, of course, is my third podcast venture. The first one was 10 years ago, roundaboutish.
Yeah.
And we actually would go to concerts, me and my one of my best friends. He's the godfather to my kids. He's the original drummer for a band called Upon a Burning Body. And I would go out on tour with them, and I would interview bands and stuff like that and put their, you know, it was really nice being in their environment, like at shows and everything like that. And I'm sure you feel the same way, going to events, esports events, and being in that environment and that vibe that you get. Being able to talk with people was really great. And then COVID happened, and that just crushed it. Like, we tried to do Zoom interviews like this, and it just didn't flow quite as right. Some of the guys would be like, oh, let me get on for this. Hey man, yep. It just, you could tell it didn't have that same feel. So unfortunately, we killed that one off. But here with esports and everything like that, this is our environment. Like in
100%.
in front of a screen, like this is where we thrive.
Really is.
But to transition that into my next question here, the background that I've had has influenced me in the ways that I've been able to focus and everything like that. You've had, like you said, a plethora of other little jobs, including your own business at one point. How has that influenced you in your approach to partnerships through esports?
Yeah, I love it. I even to, segue with your previous point and even some of the things you mentioned and what we're talking about now. It's like it's so cool. I don't think anything like gaming. I like to think of myself as a creative person, and I don't think there's ways to creatively put all of our backgrounds into something other than something like gaming. Even you mentioning that what you're doing, um, to channel that into esports and gaming podcasts is so cool. Like you were interviewing, you were with bands, you're learning to interact with people, you're networking. It's the same on my side, and I think that's something that I love to talk about too. Is like giving a good presence on things like video calls, Zoom interviews. A lot of our interviews for professional roles when you get out of college nowadays are going to be over Zoom. They used to be
Yep.
phone calls, which is crazy to think about. Then they turned into in-person interviews and so on. But you have to carry yourself in a way that exudes a little bit of energy. It hopefully is positive. I can't really help it, but I also I catch myself. I like to smile a lot. Like those little things that I think transition well into what we're doing, what we're kind of talking about today is really fun. So to make your point and to further your point even too, uh, I loved just the interaction of selling. Like as a competitive individual, that was really what got me into sales. I think there's nothing more euphoric, at least in my adult life, that uh, you know transitions and translates the same way that competitively gaming does or even traditional sports does. So the next thing for us in our 30s now is how we professionally attack our career, and I think that's something that I take a lot of pride in. So my old jobs and my jobs all have led to this point, and I think that's how life is. It's a long chapter book where you're building and you're writing new pages all the time. But I think that those entry level jobs I had and even the business that I started, to your point, really transitioned into who I am today, how I carry myself, how I teach others to carry themselves, especially again in esports where it trends younger on the entry side and older on the leadership side. So blending those two gaps is an interesting angle for someone in middle management or director or even executive type levels. So one of my favorite parts of my career post college and before I am now, was fun fact about starting my own business. I was at the time semi homeless, I'll call it that. I was couch surfing, which my parents prefer me to say, but I was living out of my car and I lived with my dog. It was very an interesting time frame. I look back on it fondly now because of the freedom and the ability I had to sort of do whatever I wanted and travel and sell and do that. But it was dicey at times. I was living off of credit cards. I was hoping the next sale would come through, and it taught me a lot about back against the wall mentality,
Yeah.
where you're able to just go upwards once you've kind of hit your own personal. And I don't even think that was rock bottom. I had a vehicle, like I had a dog. I don't think it was that bad. So I say all that to say that um, take your past experiences, right? Take those things and let them be who you are today. Don't think you have to be something you're not, because esports, gaming, any of these creative type nuanced industries really need that for personality. And I really love that I got to do those things, and I don't think too much of it now, because it made me who I am, and I trust who I am now.
Yeah. Love to hear it. You know, shows that you've learned that the ability to fight for what you want and everything like that. And I'm sure that's helped you, especially now. You may get a no, but you can always fight for that yes.
That's right. Yeah, no's are actually great, to be honest, because a no is better than maybe. We always joke in sales, because a maybe is, there's no end to a maybe. A no is a respectful end to a conversation where we can now continue as colleagues, as professional partners. But a yes is the best for sure. But yes, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Uh, Now, you spoke a bit about leadership and everything like that, and having your own business and being able to fight and strive and everything like that. A little unknown fact might be that you're actually awarded the Eagle Scout. So, how has that leadership and that training and everything, all the hours put in for that? Um, because I'm sure for everyone who's ever done Boy Scouts to hear Eagle Scout, they know just how spectacular and time consuming that is. So to add that to the resume on top of everything, uh, and how do you pull your experiences from that into the esports arena?
I have never had. That's pretty cool. You even caught that, but were you in Boy Scouts? Are your kids in Scouts or anything?
I was
Yeah.
many moons ago. My son is addicted to his Xbox. He's addicted to Rainbow Six. He has told me he wants to go pro at Rainbow Six. He's only 12, and then my other son's 4. So no Boy Scouts yet. But
Yeah.
my
I love it.
4-year old, he's like my I want to wrestle, Dad. Let's go outside. Let's do this. So potentially for him.
I love it. Hey, again, I was an athlete, I was a gamer. My dad was an Eagle Scout. And I remember the Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, any morning, honestly, where my father would, get me up to do stuff, whether it was chores or scout related items. And I used to whine about it a lot. And he used to always say, Dillon, you'll thank me later. Dillon, you'll thank me later. Dillon, you'll thank me later. And my little brother quit when he was a life scout. He didn't have any friends in scouting anymore. I didn't have any friends in scouting anymore, to be honest. But I think there was an oldest child obligation that I had to make my pops happy, and I stuck through it, and I got my eagle. And yeah, man, you nailed it. It's a lot of work, especially I don't know if people know, but you have to get your Eagle Scout rank before you turn 18. So I worked really hard at an age where there's a lot of other things going on that you don't want to be working harder than you have to, whether it's especially school, but also work even. And I was, at the time I was taking college courses and hoping to get ahead of my degree. I was getting my Eagle Scout. Typical whatever, hoping to achieve things type of kid. But I'm so much more proud of my Eagle Scout than anything else I got at that age. Graduating was obviously cool, but I graduated high school, and I was captain of some teams, but who cares? Like, getting my Eagle Scout was to see my dad be so proud, and learn all these things about everything from wilderness survival to civics, first aid. Anything. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I still love to camp, and I go up to the Boundary Waters, once, twice, 3 times a year. I climb, I hike. I would really encourage people to at least entertain it, because I think we've lost a little bit of that in society. And I even joke,
Definitely.
touching grass, right? You even said your child likes to, get out there and touch some grass. It doesn't hurt, and it's, if anything, it puts a lot of things in perspective. So when I'm real stressed, that's what I like to do, actually, is go camp, shut my phone off, and it all comes back, and it puts it all in perspective. So thank you for bringing that up, man. I appreciate that. I was not expecting that. So thank you for even mentioning.
Not a problem. Uh, I did mention earlier, of course, and then you touched on it a little bit. You of course, we're working for Rokkr and Version1. Uh, what would you say is your fondest memory from them? And then what was your, well, let's just be honest. What was your least fondest memory?
Oh, I love it. Well, fondest memory is truly just getting the opportunity. When I heard there was a Call of Duty team coming to Minnesota, that was what originally kicked it off. I was just on the back half of living in my car. I had gotten a place here in Minnesota. Very proud. I had a headboard. I had lamps. I had belongings again. I was very pumped. But when I heard a Call of Duty team was coming to Minnesota, I wanted to be a part of it so badly. I knew it was tied to the Vikings and the Wilf ownership group. So I started like obsessively putting my name in the hat. I applied for every role that was available. I started writing articles and posting them on LinkedIn and on my Twitter account to try to get a little bit of traction in front of people. And fun fact, I actually did not get any of the open roles. Um, I that was between August 2019 and December of 2019, just hitting the pavement in front of them hard. Interviewed, didn't get any roles, like literally got shut down everywhere. End of December, my past boss and boss of 4 years, Brett Diamond, COO there, said they needed some help with the launch event weekend that was going on at the Armory. And they brought me on as a contractor, and the rest is sort of history. I worked my way up internally on the marketing side and moved my way over to the partnership side after some fun sales. But the super long-winded way to just say, like, the opportunity is probably my favorite memory about it. The people that were there, the events we did, the pride I got to take in my work I was doing were really, important things to me. I think the toughest part as of late, to be real transparent, is the layoffs. I was there through a couple different rounds of seeing my friends, friends and longtime colleagues go. And I think there's a lot of people in esports that are very, very, very freaking talented and unfortunately don't have a role right now. And other industries I don't think deserve them. And I think this industry needs them. So it's a really tough conundrum as we see these things happen over and over again. But I understand the business side of it, of course, it literally being in partnerships. I felt somewhat guilty that I could have done more, of course. But yeah, I think those are two, like, they're a little sappy, but I think those are like good and bad memories that I've had of it that weren't necessarily related to my daily, monthly, yearly performance as a seller. So very fun memories there, and I'll never forget, getting to grow with V1 and with Rokkr.
Okay. We won't, this will lead us down a rabbit hole, so I won't touch too much on it. But like I said, with all the layoffs going on, we see Riot Games just letting people go. A lot of the gaming industry itself, we see this. Some people are calling it a burst in the gaming industry, but I don't like to call it a burst. I like to say it's deflating a little bit, because we're still pumping out video games. We're still, as just human beings, obsessing over the next great video game. Call of Duty, supposedly, everybody hates on the new Call of Duties when they come out, but you sure are about to go out there and buy them. And the new one as well. Everyone's talking about it's either going to be the next greatest one, or they're just so tired of the Call of Duty franchise. Whatever your stance is, you're still about to go out there and buy it. I know I've already reserved my copy of MW3.
Right.
But then you also look at things like the news just dropped earlier today, and we were talking about it before we went live. League of Legends trying to now start a salary cap. We saw Call of Duty do the same thing a couple of years back, and of course that got debunked because of player unions and everything like that need to be required for that. We see the Xbox, Microsoft trying to buy Activision. What's going to be going on with the Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League if that does get completed? And there's just so many moving like parts behind the scenes that not the casual fan probably doesn't think about. But again, this could lead us down an entire rabbit hole, so we won't touch on that right now. But I would love maybe one day a Sean Rogers, a spaceman, the Rocket League caster and everything. He's actually got a degree in this stuff. So I would love to maybe get a panel on and we can discuss this one day, and just the state of esports. Because I know everybody has their own opinion, and the little unknown fact, you'd be surprised how many people in this, not you per se, but uh, my listener may be surprised at just the educational background that everybody in esports has. Everybody's highly, highly educated,
Well said.
and
Very well
it's
said.
it's awesome to see and awesome to be able to talk with people.
Sean
Uh,
has some great tweets. Adam Apicella, like all these business minds. I totally agree. Totally agree, man. It would be awesome to have a big panel together and talk this, talk things through more and more and more and more and more, because the better the education, the better the community, the better the grassroots, the stronger these things will be. And we kind of left our conversation earlier at the fact of like, um, it's not going anywhere because it can't go anywhere. There's nowhere for it to go. We're still going to keep gaming. We're still going to keep playing. We're still going to keep competing. What happens now is it settles in, right? We start to build structure around it. So I completely agree, man. I'd love to have those conversations in those panels someday. That'd be awesome.
well, my long-winded version, or my short version to that long wind that I just did for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you see esports in the next 5 years?
Yes, I love it. I think about this often, and I think being in esports now professionally for 5 years, as a career, and being a gamer for several iterations of 5 year increments over time, I do think about this a lot. I'm sure you do too, and we've even seen it evolve extensively already. Even in the last, since COVID. What I think is where my head goes selfishly is the brand side for sure. Like partnerships are being such a huge key to this next growth period. Investor money is super important, but like where brands can start to fit in and start to ingratiate themselves with, you know, essentially a really malleable, loyal, genuine audience of, typically under 30, pretty highly Gen Z and even Gen Alpha now, and just really open to brand legitimacy, but also gone are the days. I think about it every time I sit on my couch all day and watch football. Like I find the smattering, the just punch in the face of marketing all day long that goes on a football game. Like I think it's crazy when there's now the kickoff, right? The kickoff is just a kickoff into a touchback. Commercial before, commercial after, and God forbid someone gets like hurt, or the 2 minute warning. Like commercial, 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 commercial. And we're bombarded with these like illegitimate ways of understanding what they're trying to get across to us. It's auto, it's HVAC, it's finance, it's banking, it's insurance. And it's like, it's so daunting. And so where I think we need to go in the next 5 years, and even the next year, 5 years and 10 years, is like just bringing these brands in at a clean slate, like having these interactions with them that are so much more memorable. And, I think they do a good job on NFL Sundays or collegiate, NCAA, like those types of things where moments can be memorable, whether it's like the all state hands as the netting on the behind the field goal post. Like, I watched the Lexus overtime last night with, Thursday night football. So there's ways to do this in a way that's not so in your face, but I want us to be really conscious of it as we go, because I think that's super important, and how we do it is super important. The overall industry of esports is going to continue to evolve. I think it'll get even more structured, which is good. I think it'll get more competitive, which is good. What will be interesting though is to look nostalgically back on, we do it now already, but looking back on orgs, on teams, on players that we used to be fans of, and what the new age of fandom, new age of playerhood, what these individuals look like. The other facet too, from an organizational standpoint, is like, how do we lean on orgs to become all encompassing, essentially media outlets? Can we, have artists, music? Can we host creators that are in other things like, you see Optic doing things like chess. Like I enjoy those facets that make an organization all encompassing to young fandom, as well as old fandom. Like I think older generations actually get into esports pretty simply and pretty easily if they are open to it. But let's be honest, the younger generation is like already in tune to this stuff. I went over to my little cousins the other day, and he bought the version 1 Rocket League skin, which I was grateful for. Actually, I guess my uncle bought it for him because he's like 10. But he already has the Oxygen, skin. So it's like I love that little bit of fandom that comes with it. And you mentioned your son likes R6, like that Oxygen skin's pretty clean in there, but I think that's a cool way to like increase fandom. So to kind of wrap it up, as you mentioned, not going down these rabbit holes, I really want orgs to continue to legitimize the space through brands. I want partners to come in a genuine, loyal fashion to the fandom that built it. And I really want, fandom to grow with creators, with influencers, with players, in a way that, fits the industry and is catering towards the media that it's already doing. I think that's what we can all continue to do. So.
Yeah, you did mention Optic. I know Hex has said before, we are a content creating group that just happens to be great at video games, and that's how he has built Optic from the get-go. And in many interviews he's even said, I will take a little bit of like the prize pool money, but that the players earn that. He's
100%.
always said, I want the sponsorships, I want Jack in the Box and everybody that they have over there. That's what he wants to keep his business afloat. He doesn't want to take away from the players or have to rely on them to keep him afloat. And I've always looked at that and thought that was a great concept to have going into the esports realm.
Totally agree. That's the way to do it. And I think it's important, and it allows the players to stand on their own as well. And it allows brands to come in and see that. I'm a big fan of this as well. Big fan of that.
Now, we've peppered over many different subjects now, but what do you believe has set Oxygen Esports apart? And also, what has been the rapid evolution for esports, and where do you see Oxygen going with future partnerships?
Yeah, perfect question, honestly, because it feeds into what we're just sort of talking about. Again, a big allure for Oxygen for me was, first off, the teams, the competitive aspect, to be on the main stage for, Apex less than a month ago. Boston Uprising is playing in grand finals for Overwatch right now. To have a top Call of Duty team, for the R6 team to be top 10 globally, like Rocket League team was just at Gamers 8. I love the competitive aspect that Oxygen can offer. Even their Valorant team are there. I got to work on saying there. Our Valorant team just, competed a couple weeks ago with their new player Dapper. Being competitive is what esports is all about, to your point. And like, I like the way Hex put it, is that it's a media company that happens to also be good at competitive. They're a content creating company that happens to be good competitively. So I really love that aspect of Oxygen. One other really cool part of Oxygen is just how ingratiated the founders are. Murph Vandervelde and Adam Morrison are the two founders behind Oxygen, and are so genuine. They're so loyal to the brand. They're around every day. Like, there is no gap between what goes on and what they're doing, and I find that really beautiful. That's a really important aspect to, I think, esports and its growth, because brand messaging can get lost if you don't have those types of individuals around. Also, Jack Vandervelde, their Murph's brother, runs Helix Esports, which is the facility right next to Gillette Stadium, and really cool spot for gaming and for activation and for watch parties. But a really fun spot on a Patriots game day. They have comedy nights. Like, to your point earlier about being media, being content creation, I love the Helix Center, and I love that we have that to offer to fans, to the community, to Patriots fandom, even as a Vikings fan. And I was a past Pats fan when I was younger, but I've lived in Minnesota too long to dodge that one. But I find those things really important to the ecosystem of esports and the ecosystem of gaming. And I find it a really nice way to sort of genuinely bring all that full circle, from the competitive side to the partners. But what ties it all together is fans that care. And if you don't have a local presence, which again, I think Rokkr did a really great job. I think Boston Breach and I think Oxygen, Boston Uprising do a really great job of, is creating genuine interactions at a fan level touch point that first off is tangible for brands, but also is like lifelong. You'll look back on watch parties you were at, you'll look back on events you were attending. And to your point, even about us hopping on a Zoom call for an interview, I'll always appreciate this time, but I hope to see you at an event. I hope to overlap with you down in Dallas. Like that is where it gets real genuine. So I keep saying the word genuine, but that's truly what I mean when we talk about how this continues to build, what Oxygen is doing, what my role at Oxygen is doing to better that, and sort of how I see the success of this thing long term continuing to be a thing and how I can help contribute to it.
I'm gonna kind of blend some stuff here now.
Please.
You actually mentioned the Rokkr. Y'all did a great job with the home series. I know there was a little bit of controversy with it when y'all were doing it, but it was great to see because they were based in Dallas, the team.
Yes. Yep.
But they would still fly up there for the home series, for the fans and everything like that. Quick question before I mention this: is Boston the same way? Their Call of Duty team, are they based for internet's sake in Dallas, or are they based there?
They'll be based in Boston. Really, again, I think a really cool point and something we tried to push in Minnesota. But I'm glad the guys in Boston are open to it because I think it creates a really, it creates a number of things. It creates good content first off, right, which is genuine again and lifelong and everlasting, blah blah blah. But the guys get to practice together, they get to be together, they get to hop on podcasts together. So they'll be in Boston, which is really exciting.
Then I've got two more questions for you on this one. Could we potentially see, even if it's not a home series to where another team comes in? Oh, I may have just lost you. Oh, no, okay. The video just froze for a second, so I wanted to make sure.
Could have been me. My bad. Yep.
Are we going to, if the other team does not per se come to Boston, could we still see y'all set up the team and have people come watch y'all play the online match? Because even I think that would be cool. Then you could do a meet and greet after and everything like that, which of course be stellar for the fans. Or could we potentially see a page from Carmine Corp, who just did Carmine Corp versus the World? I don't know if you got to check that out or not.
So cool. Yeah, to cut you off and jump in and answer. Yeah, would love both. I would love to see both of those things happen. No idea what 2024 looks like and how those will play out. But those are things that I mean, the Rokkr home series that were in Madison and Minneapolis were so cool and was a real good case study on like where fandom will travel to. And I think New York, I think Boston, I think Florida, I think Dallas for sure, and Optic, like LA, these are places that fans would love that. And I think that's a really cool thing we got to see happen. To your point about the competitive integrity of it, we got to discuss that live. Like we got to talk about it live. If internet's an issue, if things like that are issues, that's hard to navigate with, tech difficulties anyways. So the fact we can do it in person was, a talking point for sure, but also really exciting to do in person. Separately speaking, love the idea of like having, one or two teams do something again, competitive wise in person. Also the Carmine thing was insane. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen that with like 12 Valorant teams down in Brazil. Like, excuse me. I feel like I've seen it with champs somewhat, right? But that's 10 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams, like CWO. I have never seen anything like that where like they hosted an event. I mean, you and I, we might have even been talking about it, but that camera thing they did where the goal would score
the transition, for the Rocket League score.
Genius. It was so damn cool. So I agree, man. And I think you and I as like, again, we're both in our 30s. So I think we have this eye for hopefulness that we want to see happen within esports. And I think that was one of the coolest damn things I've ever seen. So to put it all together. Like, would love to do some, and I know we'll do awesome stuff. We'll do some awesome stuff in alongside Oxygen. We'll do awesome stuff with Breach. Like, we'll do some of these things. So I have no idea which ones or what we'll do specifically, but that is a absolute pillar of what Oxygen Esports wants to do as an organization, how we want to cater to our community, how we want to cater to our fandom, absolute pillar of it. And if we could emulate something like Carmine did, like, oh my God, I again would love that too. So massive goals and massive shoes to fill. But I love that you're thinking like that too, because that's absolutely the way that I look at things.
Nice. Well, I know we've been heavy on the business side of things here in the last couple of questions, but to get a little bit personal, are there any specific mentors or experiences that have significantly shaped your career up to this point? And I'll actually let you answer that one before I go into the next one.
You were giving me a nice pause because I wanted to think for a second, because this is one that I do think a lot about. But honestly, the people that I've mentioned already, people like Brett Diamond, who gave me a chance in esports, BZ, who I haven't talked about yet, but is a good friend of mine and colleague of mine, works at, an analytics company now in esports. Annie, Allie, marketers that were on one side of the business at Rokkr that challenged me in really good ways. I'll be honest though, I think a lot of people within esports that I look to are the rising tide that I strive to be. Even yourself now, like, to get a message like that on LinkedIn from you is truly humbling, and it reminds me of why I'm in this industry, and that's to raise others up 100% of the time. I hope I do, but I try to answer every DM I get. I think that was something that I saw right away that wasn't happening when I wanted help, or if I wanted to talk to someone, and not even like wanted help with something specific. If I just wanted, like, hey, I'm working on something, can you lend me your eyes? Awesome person in the industry. A lot of times I wouldn't get a response back. And then I got into the industry and I had people doing it to me. And I was like, I was saying yes to everyone because I love this stuff. I think this is what gives me the energy to do what I do day to day. And so it's a super roundabout answer of saying, like, I think this industry is sort of my mentor and my role model. And I think the people younger than me, especially coming out of school, the high school students that I work with, the college students that I work with, they're sort of my role model, my mentor, because they have so much passion, they have so much life in them when it comes to this industry, and so much that they want to accomplish, that I really want to emulate that energy and that passion any call I go into, any pitch I'm on, any meeting that I run. That's sort of what I think about constantly. So hopefully not too cheesy of a way to answer it, but I do think about it like that, where I owe a lot of what I've been able to quote unquote accomplish in this industry to the individuals who just gave me a chance, and the individuals, who think I have accomplished something. It's a pretty humbling thing. So I'm real grateful for you asking it that way, because I think it's something that I try to be conscious of constantly.
No, that was not cheesy at all. It's on point. Great answer.
I appreciate that.
Well, I know that I said only 20, 30 minutes. Oh, thank you so much. We've definitely almost gone, for a whole hour. So I do appreciate it very much. I will go ahead and just pass the mic over to you for the last bit here. Let everybody know how they can reach you, any social medias that you do want to plug, and shout out Oxygen Esports.
Hey, amen. Thank you again, Cody. Truly just grateful for our time. I think we could go on and on and on, and maybe there's a world where we do. Would love some of those panels or discussions. And kudos to you for what you're doing. I watched Rain Days one and your conversation, and to be again in an Arsenal with someone like that, who I've watched cast Apex and host Apex for a number of years, to now be on the same pod as him is pretty damn cool. So grateful for what you're doing, grateful for what you do to this industry and how you elevate it as well. So thank you for the opportunity. But yeah, again, my name is Dillon. Find me on Twitter at Dillon Pomeroy, LinkedIn, especially if you're listening to this podcast as, like, business or college or something like that, hit me up there and let's connect. I'm on Instagram, of course, too, where I share more of like my outdoors stuff. I like to get out and about, and so if you want to like learn how to start a fire, maybe I'll post a story on there or something. But those are sort of my ways to get reached. As for where we're looking at things, like find Oxygen, find Oxygen Esports if you're a fan of Apex, R6, Rocket League, Call of Duty. Like we've got teams, and we're proud to be a community based team that grows with our fans. So again, real grateful for the time, Cody. But we'll see how the season goes with the NHL right around the corner, brother. We've got preseason wrapping up here soon, and it'll be wild stars before we even know it, man.
Definitely. We'll have to get on a call before that game at least. That way, well, when somebody's feelings get hurt, we've got a few days to mend the heart.
I'll be getting screenshots of the standings, or you'll be getting screenshots. We'll see how it goes, man. But I'm very excited for it.
Well, my final question for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. You bring in Slasher, you bring in Priesta. Where is Boston Breach going to go this year? Are you taking it all?
All the way, baby. Yeah, these guys. I truly, and I'm not even saying that now as a person there, but I do believe in this. We went out to dinner when I was out there last week. Brought all the guys out. The camaraderie between these guys. Shout out the YouTube channel Boston Breach. Their latest podcast. You see these guys interact and how much fun they have together. Snoop is sort of like the young gun. We got Big Cap running things. Like it is going to be a really fun crew to watch, and I'm truly juiced. I got to work with Preston while at Rokkr for a bit, and I mean, talk about Preston and Slasher as just like true industry professionals and like career men when it comes to Call of Duty. I love the dynamic. So yeah, I hope to be watching the boys host, a number of major trophies, but it'd be even cooler to look back on this conversation and see them hosting at champs, man. That'd be awesome.
Nice. Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and especially going way over the 20-30 minutes for me. I appreciate it like you would not believe. Go Stars.
No comment. No comment.
We will catch you next time. And I will definitely get with Sean and get with some of the other guys as well. Of course, Ashes, Complexities, Ashes is super knowledgeable on it as well. I would love to have him on the panel. Maybe that'll be our first panel discussion is you, Sean, and Mr. Ridgeway up there in Dallas with Complexity. Get y'all on and we can talk about the state of esports.
Love it. Cool. Thank you again.
Not a problem. But until next time, guys, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button if you're checking us out on Spotify, iTunes, anything like that. Of course, if you're checking out the video on YouTube, hit the follow, subscribe button there. But until next time, guys, peace.